The next advice that I would give myself would be, you can connect the dots only backwards, so just keep going. So what do I mean? This is a speech from Steve Jobs, if you have watched it. I think he gave the speech to in the Stanford University graduates, if I'm not mistaken, so you can watch it on YouTube. But he said something interesting, which is, when you start, right, and you go through failures and you go through some opportunities, it doesn't ever make sense what's gonna happen in the future. You don't know, right? But if you actually trust the process and focus on just putting one step in front of the other, what usually happens is that once you keep going, at some points you get into a new opportunity that you only were able to get to just because of your past failures. Let me explain what do I mean. So as I said in the beginning of the video, I was making memes on the internet and making $4 a month a few years ago. But in that process, I learned how to do basic Canva and Photoshop skills, right? When I could put pictures together, I can put text on it, I can search stuff on the internet. I learned basic skills, right? How to communicate with people, to try to sell my memes and all of this stuff, how to make them funny. I started a little bit human psychology for that and all of that skills, right? So then what happened is, a few years after, I started my Face Class YouTube channels, right? It's a business model that I was running. And for that, I needed the skill set of Photoshop, right? To make thumbnails, to make this. And only then I was able to know and connect the dots by looking forward, by looking backwards and saying, oh, so that part was necessary for me to be here. Right? And then through growing my faceless YouTube channels, I learned a lot on how YouTube channels grow, right? How you can do that. And that's why I started helping others how to do that. And that made me a lot of money and had a lot of impact too, right? And after that, because I've grown my coaching business, other people wanted to learn how they can grow their personal brand, their coaching business. For example, we have grown about 100,000 followers on Instagram, right? From zero in less than a year. And once I learned that, right, then I started another. So you can only make sense by looking back and connecting the dots, but in the moment, you can't know. So all you have to do is just trust the process and know. You don't know how it's gonna work out, but I promise, if you just focus on putting one step in front of the other, work harder, get better daily, keep improving, don't give up, then in 1, 2, 3 months or 1, 2, 3 years, right, depends on the situation, some new things will be, and it will look will pop up and it will look like an overnight success, but you will only be able to be there just because of your past failures, past successes, past situations, things that you didn't know that could help you in the future. So if you're, just know that in the future it will make sense and you will be proud of your younger self. So now all you have to do is just trust the process, keep getting better, and don't stop. The next thing that I would tell to my younger self would be, imperfect action is better than perfect inaction. So I'm a perfectionist, or I like to think I am, so I procrastinate a lot, right? When I know, oh, I'm going to make this video, I think, oh, should I prepare it? Should I think about stories I'm going to tell? Maybe I should do it tomorrow. Right now it's a little bit dark, so maybe I should wait for it to be sunny so I have better lighting. Should people, will this be helpful to people, right? And all of these things. But what I have learned is that, if you just think about, oh, I want it to be perfect, but you don't go and try to make it perfect because it's not possible, then you would rather just take imperfect action, because that's better than the perfect inaction, right? So what most people think? Most people think, oh, if my videos aren't gonna be perfect, if my reels on Instagram are gonna be perfect, if I'm not great at communication skills, I shouldn't start, right? I shouldn't start anything. But that's not true, because if it is true, right? If it's not perfect that you shouldn't start, that means that you should not do anything, because nothing is perfect. What's the definition of perfect? Who decides what is perfect? You can make the perfect thing in your opinion, and it takes 10 times longer time, but for me it might be worse. So you made it worse, you think it's perfect, but for me it's not. So it's most of the time it's not objective, it's subjective, right? It's your opinion. So you're just procrastinating and using that excuse, or at least that is for me, and not taking action. So you would rather just go and do it, even if it's imperfect. You will still end up in a better situation than if you don't do anything. So if you want to, for example, exercise, right? You would rather just go for a walk. So for example, today I didn't want to do it, but I went out, I went for a walk, and that was nice. Got some sunlight, right? It wasn't perfect. I didn't do a 2-hour exercise. No, but was it better than me just sitting there and thinking about how the perfect exercise would look like and me not doing it? Of course it was better. At least I did something. So if you want to be a perfectionist, either try to make it perfect in your definition. But if you think that you are not going to do that because all of that pressure, just at least do something. And if you do something and you do it again and again and again, guess what? You are improving, and improving means that you are getting to closer to that perfect that you are trying to achieve. So imperfect action beats perfect in action all the time, and I've seen this so many times. I know people that are making millions of dollars a year, people that are healthy, people that are achieving their goals, people that basically are becoming the best version of themselves. Most of them, they just act. They just, oh, let me do this, right? And sometimes people way dumber than you are living better lives just because they are doing it. And some of them are scared. But that's what courage is. You feel scared, but you do it anyway, and you go and take action. So if you're watching this, if that thought that other people might be doing better than you when they are not more than capable than you, they are not more than ethical to you, they don't have better conditions, they just act, that should give you, in my opinion, some inspiration to go and act as well, because that's how you get your goals. So I would highly recommend to my younger self to take this seriously, because he spent too much time on just waiting and procrastinating. So just doing something is always better than nothing, most of the time. Now, a lot of these trainings are available for free with all of the templates, AI tools, private feedback for you to be able to implement in your business. And guess what? It's absolutely free. So if you're interested, the link will be down below in the description and you can apply to join there.